Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to try and get this camera to work a little bit better for us. There we go. Really appreciate everyone joining us this afternoon. I know this has been a hot topic as of late, with many people being approached by various companies, or what it might seem as if they were companies, to sell you into fixed income securities. And I've been asked by many people to run a webinar and workshop on this, just to show you exactly what it looks like and what to look out for. So I think that is the reason why we've gathered today, just to go over these kind of things. I know a lot of you on the webinar today have been approached and have come to me beforehand. Some, unfortunately, haven't had the chance to get to me in time, but let's get started and ensure that we are across this, so we don't fall for the traps that are out there at the moment. So you can tell by the title, if it sounds too good to be true, well, it probably is. So keep your money safe from scams. My name is Chris Sachi, and I am the Sales Director at the Australian Bond Exchange. First off, I will get rid of my photo for everybody. There we go. First things first, let's look at real bond opportunities versus what a scam would potentially look like. So I've got 4 on this page. 2 are real, 2 are not. And this is just some information that you can see when it comes to bonds. For example, we've got a Palace Capital bond. It's a fact. Many of you have invested in it. It is a 4-year note. It matures in November 2024, and it pays you a fixed return of 6.99. The price at the moment is 101.56. Now, a common Macquarie Bank scam, which I'm going to actually go into more details shortly, it gives you an investment for 1 or 2 or 3 years. Returns are variable depending on how the length of time you want to invest. And of course, one of my favorites, they government guarantee up to $250,000. I will go over some actual data on that shortly. Flip it back to an actual bond, NAOS, ASX listed company that we deal with, 4-year note, matures in December 2024, fixed return of 4.51, paid to you in 2 installments per year, and the bond is $101.36. Let's go back to the scan. Vanguard, fixed income, Australian bond. Again, investment for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, and the returns vary per year, and it goes up per year. Again, things to look out for when it comes to these fixed interest income bonds, or scams in this case. Next slide. This is an actual example. I'm not going to mention any clients' names, but I want to go through some information on a scam that actually took place and show you what it looked like. So we had a current client who had already invested significant money with us. And like most of you, they have term deposits set up, and they had a major term deposit maturing in a couple of months' time. So we scheduled a catch up a week before that time was up to talk about what options would be available before we actually invest the money a week later, when that money matured within the term deposit. Now, in the meantime, they had found a deal that was, they thought, too good to refuse, and felt a little bit bad about telling me about it. Now, one thing with us as a company and as an individual, for myself, I think everyone should invest in a way that suits them and their family's needs. So if there is an investment out there that is going to give you a better return than what we can offer, or but is still safe, we would have access to that on our Bloomberg terminal if it is a fixed income bond or fixed income security. So if we don't know about it, we would love to know about it. And if in fact we can't get it for you at the right price or the best price, which I don't believe is correct, I'm sure we can, we will then be quite transparent and open with you and say, you know what, we have checked out that opportunity. It is valid. Unfortunately, you know what, we can't do the price you've got, go for your life. It is unlikely that we won't be able to get the best price for you, but we're going to be completely transparent with you either way. I then was told that they were a government guaranteed option with Macquarie Bank. that kind of triggered a little bit for me, because when you're talking about returns upwards of 4 and 5%, we all know with the banks at the moment, you're earning 0.1, 0.2, maybe 0.5. So to get something over 5% with a government guarantee seemed a little bit odd to me. Unfortunately, the client had just transferred the money over to what they thought was Macquarie Bank. Here's the email that the client received stating exactly what had taken place. So everything looks really formal and pretty well put together. They even had an individual sign off on that who had a LinkedIn profile provided. So when I clicked on it, the only thing I found a little bit odd was the fact that they didn't really have many followers on LinkedIn. There was maybe 30 or 40. And then for someone who's working in a major bank and has been in the industry quite some time, that seemed a little bit off to me. But the big giveaway was the email address. So to have an email that had macquarie-australia.com when you're talking about Macquarie Bank, that clearly was a red flag for me, and I knew that there was something wrong with that. So as we delved deeper into it, we realized that, in fact, that was a scam, because if you actually did deal with Macquarie Bank, you would find their email address is a very common, you would have the individual's name, whether it be first name, not last name, or even just a first name, followed by @macquariebank.com.au, whichever one that would be. So Macquarie-Australia was always a bit of a giveaway to us. So that's just one example of the actual document that went out to the client. This is one of my favorite bits of it. So they have provided them this document here that breaks down the different yields and returns for the time period. Now, with fixed income securities, you usually don't get the opportunity to pick the option you want. But the one that got me the most was at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to make it bigger. It actually gives you the chance to pick if you want to get paid quarterly or annually or at the end of the term. In bonds, that wouldn't be how it works. The bonds are fixed. They are fixed income securities. So therefore, it is either paying you twice a year, it's either paying you quarterly. We are unable to provide you with an option that's going to suit you because these bonds are fixed. So that straight away was another clear indication of why this was going to be an issue. Now, what to look out for in a common scam. I even spoke to a client today who was about to invest in I believe it was about a 6% return. Before even giving him information, I asked him to pull up the email and to ensure that none of these little setups were there. It didn't have a .au, it didn't have a .sydney or a .group or a .melbourne. It had to be something that had the company name .com.au. And lo and behold, he got to the email and it was info@name-au. something else. So straight away, we knew it was a scam. So bonds offering varying returns over different investment terms need to be looked at because that takes away some of the purpose of the fixed income returns and fixed income securities. A big one, we all know what banks are paying at the moment. So if you've got a bank offering you anything more than even 2% is very large, but you know what, even if it's 2%, it needs to be looked at. As I said at the first slide that we were on, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Now, we as an organization, ABX, has access to every bond on the market via our Bloomberg terminal. So if you come across a bond, we could look it up for you and be able to confirm straight away whether it actually exists. And then we can find out the details of the bond. Be aware of LinkedIn profiles. As you all know, any communication from me has my LinkedIn profile at the bottom. When you click on it, it takes you to my profile and you can see I'm quite active on there. Be concerned straight away. If you've got someone that has no connections or is not active at all and they're approaching you about a major investment, that is a bit of a red flag. As I said, industry experts are very active on there, so that is one thing you can always look out for. Another thing to look out for is the ISIN number. With that number, we can search for anything on Bloomberg. So if it's providing you one, we type it in, we can confirm if it's right or not. So let us know. Here's another scam from Vanguard. Again, from a documentation point of view, looks really good. Vanguard Investments Australia, ABN, they've even got a bit of an environmental statement for you. But on the bottom left, have a look at that email address, info@vanguard-au.com. That straight away tells me that there's an issue and there's a scam. Then, of course, if you look and delve into it deeper, there are phone numbers provided. If you call Vanguard directly, number one, the phone number will be different as well. And then they themselves could probably tell you, if you didn't get the chance to talk to us, that they do not have a fixed income bond providing whatever this particular bond was going to do. But always have a look at that email address. This one's one of my favorite ones because it actually provides you with a lot of somewhat realistic information. So Bendigo Bank, look at the data in the middle of the screen. It gives you issuer, parent company, structure, coupons. These are all very well put together information. They even put in the government guarantee logo at the bottom of the email. But of course, when you look at the email address in the top right-hand side, info@bendigobank.group, absolutely not happening. So you need to be looking at those type of things as realistic as it is, that it was a red flag straight away. And if we go and look up that Bendigo Bank on our system, there is no such bond. So even if it looks as good as this one, and I think this is one of the better ones that looks quite realistic, first thing I checked was the email address before going on to Bloomberg to confirm. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. I just want to check if there's anything else on there that I want to point out. No, there's no ISIN number provided, so no, I won't go into that. But yes, always email. Now, flipping that over to the fact that why and what takes place on our end to make sure safety occurs. Now, we've got quotation requirements. We've got various individuals who analyze these bonds before we bring them to you. So we have to look at things like source and availability of financial resources for anyone issuing a bond. Not anyone can just come along and issue a bond. There is a lot of back-end work that goes into it. We have to understand the coupons, the repayment of the principal at maturity, and what process they're going to undertake. These processes can take up to a year, 6 months to a year on our end to look at before it meets all of our obligations before we put them in front of yourself. So meeting obligations to investor for both the payments of the coupons and the principal, then looking at special features. What's actually backing the asset? What are the securities involved to mitigate the risk for you? These are things we analyze. And of course, you've got to look at the financials and other information. How's that company been going? What are their profits like? What are their assets like? We need to understand all of that to ensure investors have sufficient and regular information to keep up to date with what is happening with that company. So for example, with Palace, you would get a quarterly report. We would give you reports regularly to keep you on top of what is happening with that company, as opposed to just letting you know that your coupon's getting paid at the end of June or at the end of September and things like that. So there's a lot of governance, should I say, and reporting processes involved. Risks and outcomes under various scenarios. These are things we need to look at. And of course, the big one, the big concern for anyone is in the event of a default, what is the recourse available to the investors to recover their money? So that is what we look into as well before we get to the point of saying, hey, we've got Palace, we've got Nous, we've got these bonds available to you. All of this work has happened in the back end. I won't go into too much detail on the next slide, but I want you to have a clear understanding of the processes involved with ABX. So why our products? Protecting our clients' wealth. We haven't lost a single dollar for a client since we came on board back in 2015 because of the processes involved when it comes to product quotation. You also have the product assessment on the top right-hand side. You've got looking into default of events, the nature of the security, the ongoing quality and availability of clear reporting from the entities themselves. Then you've got assessments and the approach that we take to undertake for your safety what needs to occur. We have got a wide range of experts in the field, which I'll go to shortly, that not only are internal, but are external people that we go to. So there are various levels of credit risk that we have, a 3-tier check that we have to ensure that your money's safe. Down the bottom, clients can be confident that our products have passed extensive admission tests. So only issuers with established financially secure and operationally sound are able to market their bonds, and we are able to sell it for them via a capital issue. So if they want to raise capital with us, they need to undertake all of these processes to make sure they tick all of our boxes before we give them to you. Here's just a bit of background again on our advisory board. So these aren't internal, these are external advisory board members that look into these products, who are across what is going on with them. They are our external source, our product advisory board, that will analyze each and every product that we have that we bring to you. Their experience is vast and wide. I won't go into all the details of it. I can provide you with this information if you need it. But these 3 individuals are very well versed in understanding bonds, understanding issuers, the risks involved versus the return. Now, our internal management team. We've got our CEO, Brad McCosker. We've got our CTO, Michael Vanderdonk, our chairman, Alan Farrer, and our GM, Simon McCarthy. They're going to hate me saying it, but between them, they've got over 100 years worth of experience in that space. It's a lot of years, and they understand the ins and outs of what goes on in this industry. And therefore, you are in safe hands. When you come into our organization, we've got national and international experience. And when it comes to bonds, we have the ability to access every bond on the market. So there is no question as to what we are able to do for our clients. We will give you our advice on what works best for you and what you're after. But again, if you've got different ideas and you want different, let's call them products, we've got access to each and every one of them. So depending on what you're after, we can structure your portfolios adequately. And of course, with these guys leading the way, we're in pretty good hands when it comes to your investment. What to do if you think you're being scammed? The easy one, I tell each of you when I talk to you, you can obviously call me, text me, email me, message me on LinkedIn, whatever you can get to me so I can confirm, please do it. As I showed you on the slide before, our leadership team has that many years of experience nationally and internationally. We and they are across what is going on, and we can find out for you very quickly if there's an issue. We have our clear listing regulations, and drawing on their experience, we are skilled in evaluating these scams and doing it quickly. There are many unethical operators out there that will push high-risk investments as safe, but we want to keep away from that. As I mentioned earlier, the ISIN number, if you come across one of those, that is your key check. We can look up anything on the terminal with that number. So if you've got one, send it to me, we can look it up. The big point that I think a lot of people miss when they look at these scams, there are no talk about fees. What are their commissions? What are their brokerage? How do they actually make money if they're a legitimate business? We charge a brokerage fee on every investment. Unfortunately, they don't need to charge you any of that because your whole investment becomes their fee. So you will find with a lot of these scams, when you ask them what are the costs involved, there probably isn't any because they're not charging you a fee because your investment is unfortunately going to be it. So be aware of that as well. And that comes to the back end of the webinar. Now, obviously, if you have any doubt, contact me, because we don't want you to have any questions and any doubts on what your investment is. A client, as I said this morning, did exactly that, and that saved him probably a significant amount of money. One thing I will do is I hope we've got a couple of polls set up. Mike, if you can hear me, if they're there, it would be good to just get from those who are attending a bit of an understanding of, number one, if they have in fact been approached by what they think is a scam, and more importantly, if they'd like me to give them a call to understand it. I'm not sure if we have got that ready. If not, that is completely fine. What I can do is give you all a call either way, but what we are going to do, and I'll cover that off now, what we're going to do is provide each of you who have registered a cheat sheet, effectively a 1 or 2 page document that's going to tell you everything to look out for when it comes to these scams. And it is pivotal that you follow that process. The fact is, everyone I talk to, they do their due diligence to make sure that we are above board as well. I got off the phone with a client about 5 minutes before I jumped on. He was just calling me to confirm that we are in fact legit. I can assure you, when someone comes on a webinar and puts their face on it, there are no scammers out there wanting to do that. So that is why we run a lot of these from an education piece, to ensure each and every one of you are on top of that. So if you have any questions, I should have actually mentioned as a bit of admin, there was a chat option where you can ask questions. The polls are ready. So Mike, if you can just put them up, where any of you, if you can just let us know by clicking yes or no, if you have been approached by any scammers at all, or what you think is a scam, just click on that. I hope that works. I'm going to click on it myself. I can't click on it. I'm hoping everyone else can. Okay, hopefully that is there. Excellent. That should give people enough time. Hopefully they're able to click on that. And I'll get you to put the other one up as well, Mike, and that is, if you have been approached, would you like me to give you a call just so we can review it and discuss it if need be? I will give everyone a chance to answer that question as well. So the first question is there. Hopefully the second one has come up. I assume that has been done. There you go. Okay, so the next one, if you have been approached, do you want to discuss this with myself? Straight away, I can have a quick look and give you some thoughts on if in fact it is a scam. And then if it is a little bit trickier, we can look it up on our Bloomberg terminal. So I'll give everyone another 10 seconds or so to fill that out. There we go. Thank you so much for that. And look, appreciate your time today. I know it's a Friday afternoon, but I think it's important that we cover off things like this to make sure we are all on top of what's going on at the moment. Unfortunately, I think it's only going to get more and more. So therefore, I think we just need to be alert to that fact straight away. And if there is any doubt, get in touch with each other, get in touch with myself, our organisation, to make sure you're well and truly on top of things. I thank you for your time again. My contact details are on this final slide, my mobile number, as well as my email. So please reach out. Otherwise, I'll be in touch with the cheat sheet either later today or first thing on Monday. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.